You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Join the party that is Make Your Day Richer TV by advertising your brand, business, or project during the show. Use us to promote what you're doing to make our viewers' day richer. 1 month of advertising starts at $200. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Oh, y'all, this is going to be a good one. I mean, all the shows are good, but Sarah Seidelmann is here, and that means it's going to be an amazing show. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Listen, when I was doing research on you, I realized that we are one from the same area of the world, northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. We're Midwestern people.
Holy cow.
This is going to be a good one for the Canadian fans. And we love elephants.
Yes, we do.
Art, creativity, and you are just like blooming with fun and art, and I love it, and I'm so happy you're here. I want to start because there's a lot to get through. I want to start with your new book, Boundaries Make Love Possible, written and illustrated in true artist fashion by Sarah. I mean, you're not even going to be able to see these good enough on screen, but my gosh, you are talented. Can you tell everybody what this book is about and who it's for?
Yes. Well, it is a workbook because one of the things about boundaries is they're hard. Most of us know we need to make ours better, but we don't know how to do it. And a lot of us, like myself, are ADHD. So reading like a thick text with 500 pages in it, we're never going to get there. So I wanted to make something fun and accessible. So it's filled with short, very colorfully illustrated lessons with brief stories, and then some questions to ask yourself so that you can actually start to put boundaries in place in your life. So yeah, and it started with me realizing I had set some boundaries with myself, written myself a note about those said boundaries at January 1st. And then by March, I had completely blown through all of my boundaries.
Of course, yes. Oh. And that's where the idea of this is like, okay, if I need help, other people are probably going to need help, right?
I can't be alone in this. So I started this project, which just started out as a 100-day project, which probably a lot of your listeners know about, where you just do something for, usually it's like a very short, like 15 minutes a day for 100 days. Well, I did mine a little more intensely because I was really wanting to learn about this. And as I started sharing the imagery and my reflections online with people in my community, I was getting so many messages. I mean, people were like, not as much commenting on the outside, because I think these things are so personal and sometimes so painful because they have to do with our most intimate relationships often. Or if it's work. And so we're also pretty guarded about that too. But, and I realized, wow, a lot of people are digging this and want to learn, are hungry for more. And so, yeah, then the book kind of came out of that project.
How long this is not a thin book by any means, if you could see this. And there's so much packed in here. How long did this take to design and write?
It was about, I think it's been 3 years since I did the original project. So it took some time to write the more additional content, and to deepen it. And then of course you go to editing, and then I had to get a designer involved, and my designer, she had a lot of stuff going on in her life. So that took us a little longer than normal. But so it's been about 3 years. So it's interesting when you write a book, sometimes you look back and you're like, oh, I would change that. It's been 3 years, but we all evolve and grow,
Yes. Time for another book. That's what that means. And I know you're working on another book, right?
I have one that's I'm not actively working on it right now, but I have such a love for creative people. Someday, maybe I will put some of those ideas, like how to help yourself if you're a creative person. I mean, all my books are for creative people who have a longing for, to make things, to make art, or just enjoy art in general.
Yeah. When did you start to enjoy art? Because you were a physician before you became an artist. I mean, I'm sure you were probably doing both, but
I really wasn't, because I didn't.
You were not. Oh.
Um, well, I would say like as a kid, my parents took me to museums and I remember like they let us purchase at the gift shop, like a print that you could take home. And I remember
Mhm.
just loving that. And college, low budget. So I collected art postcards and I would plaster them all over my walls. So I always loved art. Never considered myself an artist. I would say until my 40s when I started really longing to create. I started in decoupage, really like collage
Ooh.
because it was accessible to me and something I could do at night, like when my kids went to bed. And then that kind of turned into an obsession. But I really didn't start painting and creating the way that you see in the book since, from I think it was like 4 years ago when I started doing that.
Are your
Um,
kids jumping on that too, or are you seeing them be creative?
my kids are all like grown and flown. So they're like 19
Oh.
to 27. But yeah, they all have their own creative expressions, I would say, for sure.
Oh. This is not your first book either, so make sure you're looking Sarah up to look at her other books. Who should be buying this book?
If you find yourself saying yes a lot and then wish, like hearing yourself on the phone saying yes while your whole body is screaming, no, like I don't want to do this, shoot, or like apologizing multiple times when you're explaining that you can't do something. If you're feeling full of resentment about certain people and the demands they're putting on you, and that could include work, it could include intimate relationships. And then I would say if you're a person that's got somebody vulnerable in your life or that you perceive to be vulnerable, that you're doing a lot of things for that person that they are capable of doing for themselves and you're resentful about
Mm,
that. Those would be some of the major, tip offs that a little boundary work could just bring so much joy into your life. I think a lot of us just don't get taught this in childhood.
yeah.
If we didn't grow up with parents that said, especially, I would say those of us who identify as female, a lot of us were taught like be nice, if you say no, you're a what kind of
Mhm.
thing. So
Yeah, yeah. And if there's someone out there who is like, I don't need that book, I please also call on the show because I want to talk to you about how well you did that. So it feels like everybody should take a look at this book. Okay, so writing, visual art, do you have a favorite art form that you play
yeah.
in?
Yeah, I would say my favorite medium right now is just working with acrylic paint, and then often I'll
Mm,
put and collage. So I like making my own sort of like collage papers, making little carved out rubber. What do you want to call them? Like stamps. I don't even have. I didn't go to art school, so I don't have all the proper terminology. But kind of like lino cuts or I don't know. So I love to make. Yeah, and my whole mission with my art is to make love visible. I feel like um I've come to the conclusion, I don't feel this way every day, or I'm not aware of it every day, that we're really being steeped in love all the time if we can just open up to it. And it took
yeah.
me a long time to learn that. So I'm really interested in expressing that in everything I do now.
Well, I think that's a good point that Sarah doesn't have an art degree. You didn't study art, you didn't go to college for art, and you are still out there doing it intentionally for yourself, for
Yes.
public. Can you talk a little bit about that, about the health benefits of making art, creating art, ingesting art even? Like there's so many studies about just going to museums, seeing live theater that are great for your health.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like 14 years ago, I left medicine to take a sabbatical. And one of the things I was really interested in was to find out like what makes people well, because I was sort of a paid disease hunter, where's the disease? Let's find it so we can eradicate it. But then I started getting curious through a variety of like what is it that makes people really vital, And I think what I've learned over the last 14 years is, I mean, obviously good sleep, good nutrition, walking, do some healthy exercise movement. But beyond that, it's self-expression. It's telling our stories, it's dancing. I mean, you know how amazing you feel after you dance at a wedding and you're just like, wow, we should do this more often. Like writing, painting, anything you can do to express yourself. Like we were just talking, like even your set, like you designed that. That is an act of creation. Arranging flowers from the grocery store, that is a small act, but it's very potent because you're making these choices and you're making something that is beautiful in your taste. So I think that is really powerful. And what I learned is that some of my favorite artists are self-taught. they did not go to art school. And in fact, going to art school can be a huge detriment because often we learn all these very poisonous ideas there, or we get a lot of people are stuck because they receive some criticism that shut them down and they stopped creating altogether because of what was said to them at art school.
Yeah, and it's usually there are a lot of studies that say that that's why so many adults don't engage in art making, because at one point in their childhood they were told they weren't good at it, they should stop. And so and everybody, like, it is a human right to be able to create. So you all should do it, because it's also not expensive, is one of the things that, like, I love to talk about, that you don't need an art studio. You don't need a studio to come make a podcast. You can do it at your kitchen table, and it doesn't cost a lot of money to be able to literally have health benefits from creating art.
That's exactly where I started. Like, I got tiny little pieces of paper, a little set of watercolors, and I would literally make little scribble doodles. And then I started making some flowers. Like, I was just goofing off at the kitchen table, but I kept it close. So like when I had 10 minutes, I would just sit down, put on some music and create a little bit. And it was so therapeutic.
Yeah, and there are, I mean, all the coloring books that are available, like, it doesn't even have to be an adult coloring book. Go get a kid's coloring book that your kids already have and just do that. Sarah, when did this documentary come into your life? Like, how did that come about?
In the beginning of the year, last year, or like beginning of 2024, one of my goals was to paint a huge painting, like something big. I'd been in a museum, again, a wonderful thing to do with yourself. And I was like, wow, these big pieces blow my mind. Like, and I just started thinking, like, what if we all painted big? It would be quite interesting. And so it was a little bit of a stretch for me. So I wrote a grant, and I was the grant was to hire a photographer to like capture this larger piece that I was making. And he came over and he started asking these questions and caught some stuff on video. And then he called me a couple of days later and he was like, I think this could be like a documentary, like a miniature one. And I was like, really? Okay. And all we had meant to do was make a few reels for Instagram, And so we had a little premiere in our downtown. And then somebody else who was helping me with a book that I was working on, she was like, why don't you submit it to a film festival? And we're like, okay. And we already have won Best Documentary at one festival. We got official selection at another, and we've got a bunch pending, but it's like, never underestimate what crazy things can happen if you just get together with a friend to create something. Yeah. And take a risk.
That's why, people always are like, well, what's your 5-year plan? I'm like, listen, I don't even know what's going to happen 5 hours from now. Like, who knows who you're going to meet, what you're going to do. And I feel like that's kind of maybe the artist life, right? Like, we plan, well, I'd love to make art full time and be able to live my life, but who knows how one thing snowballs into something else. And it just premiered, your documentary was just at the Duluth Superior Film Festival last weekend?
Yes, it was. And it was just, so wonderful. And I think people who've come away from it saying they felt inspired or excited to get back to a project they were working on. Or I have a friend who was like, I'm going to make a documentary, which was so cool. So she started off on that path. So that's the other thing. Be creative because it'll inspire, have the courage to be creative because it'll inspire other people to do the same. And so it's just, it's a wonderful like ripple effect you'll have.
Yeah. I also, outside of this show, co-host a podcast for a media festival that I'll send you the link to send this into. I'm not a judge, so it doesn't mean Sarah's going to win. I'm just saying, if you want more awards, you probably do it. We have the trailer for the documentary that we're going to play right now, so you can take a look at it.
That's so cool.
My name is Sarah Bamford Seidelmann, and I'm an artist, and I'm a writer. I would say my background is that I am a 4th generation physician and kind of come from a family of people who wanted to heal or people who want to be helpers. About 14 years ago, I left medicine. I kind of took a big leap to explore kind of the world of spirit. That thing that I sort of felt was missing in the traditional practice of medicine sometimes, kind of addressing the needs of the soul, is something that art really provides to me.
What a great title, Follow Your Feel Good. Like, Does that feel like when you watch that, does that feel like, oh, that's me? Or does that feel like some other person?
Oh no, for sure it feels like me. And that was what I named my business when I permanently sort of left medicine and stepped away. I was like, follow, because I was almost like a mantra for me. Remember, follow your feel good. Because my whole life I'd been doing things that didn't feel great in order to get to some ending that was promised to be wonderful. And what I realized is that no, like listen to that little voice inside you that says something ridiculous, like make watercolors at the kitchen table. It makes no sense. It's never going to pay you. You don't know why are you doing this? I don't know, but follow that because it will take you so far. Yeah.
Oh, it's so true. Sarah, I could talk to you this could be a 4-hour long podcast. And the next time I go back to see family, maybe we can do something in person together because I would love to meet you. The book is called Boundaries Make Love Possible. The workbook is called Boundaries Make Love Possible. The documentary, the art, you can buy her art on her website. What is the best way for people to connect with you?
Followyourfeelgood.com. You can find me at Facebook Instagram too, and Facebook. Sarah Seidelmann is my Instagram handle. So yeah, I make quite a bit of video content and
yeah. Well, I want to say congratulations on finding your feel good. It has to feel really good. And I'm just so like proud that you get to do that. It's so inspiring when you see people out there really doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Thank you, Richard. I think you're doing the same.
We're trying. Thank you, Sarah. Again, the workbook, Boundaries Make Love Possible. We will be right back. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Richard.
You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Join the party that is Make Your Day Richer TV by advertising your brand, business, or project during the show. Use us to promote what you're doing to make our viewers' day richer. 1 month of advertising starts at $200. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
Are you an independent creative looking to take your career to the next level? Whether you're an author, illustrator, or thinking about getting into this industry, it's time to step into the spotlight at the Inkpreneurs Summit 2024. This November 1st and 2nd in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, we're bringing together the best minds in the publishing industry for 2 days of unparalleled learning and intimate networking. From hands-on workshops with industry experts to interactive networking mixers, you'll get the tools, connections, and insights to turn your creativity into a thriving business. And that's not all. Our Fresh Ink Pavilion is the place for new and emerging authors to showcase and sell their books, right in front of passionate readers and industry pros who are ready to support your journey. Plus, meet our incredible lineup of speakers sharing your secrets to success in publishing and beyond. Don't miss out. Secure your spot today and get ready to elevate your creative career. Visit inkpreneursummit.com to register. Let's give your creativity the success it deserves. See you in Winston-Salem.
Oh, I don't know how Sarah got on there. I will be at the Inkpreneur Summit on November 1st and 2nd. I have a couple different things that I'm going to be doing there, so I hope to meet you there. Make sure you go to inkpreneurssummit.com. Get your tickets. There's early bird pricing. There's discounts if you join the Facebook group, or there's all kinds of fun stuff. So I hope to see you there November 1st and 2nd. If you didn't know, outside of this program, I also help other podcasts with creative direction and editing. There's a new episode of Introspection from Grief to Growth, which is hosted by Amy Lindner-Lesser. It's a great podcast. We've been working together for a couple of years, and she has a new podcast episode out this week. Came out yesterday, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube, and I wanted to show you a clip, so here you go.
You don't have to say yes. I've talked about this before. No is a complete sentence, as well as yes. So think about your activities and what you can do. And if there's a place that you'd like to go to or an activity you'd like to do, ask somebody along. They may be waiting because they're too shy or afraid to ask. And especially for people who are in deeper grief. Others are often afraid to ask you to do something because they don't want to push you and they're afraid to seem pushy or not understanding. So you may be doing them a favor by asking them to do something.
I didn't think the whole thing was going to be about boundaries today on this show, but that's kind of what introspection was about as well. So make sure you look that up. Introspection with 2 N's, INN, introspection. And if you have nothing to do this weekend and you're in the Waxhaw, North Carolina area, head over to Autumn Treasures, downtown Waxhaw, Saturday and Sunday. Live music, an entire park for kids, beer garden, local vendors, and me, your MC. So I'll see you this weekend in Waxhaw. It'll be really fun. All right, everybody, on tomorrow's show, there is a new podcast that's premiering that I am helping with. It is called the Autoimmune Campfire. And one of the co-hosts, Nona Jordan, will be here tomorrow to talk all about that. It is a great podcast. Her and Helen are doing an amazing job. We've been filming some episodes the last couple of weeks, and they're so good. They're so ready to do this, and I'm excited to share that with you tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow. All right, that's it. Go make someone else's day richer. Go make your day richer. You've made mine, because we have over 47,000 views and downloads of this show. So we're going to do it all again tomorrow with Nona. So we will see you tomorrow, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.